Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. In an unprecedented action, the governor of Tamil Nadu, R.N. Ravi, has sacked DMK minister Senthil Balaji because of corruption and because he was influencing the case against him. Can a governor who's unelected sack a minister who's been chosen by the chief minister? This is a massive political story. It's breaking late this evening, and that's my top focus on the news track. Across to leading constitutional expert PDT Achari. He joins us, former Secretary General of the Lok Sabha. Mr. Achari, welcome. This is a massive political development. The governor of Tamil Nadu using unprecedented powers that others probably did not know about, to sack a minister in the Tamil Nadu government. Is this legal? Is this acceptable? Can this happen, sir?
No, it cannot happen, because the governor cannot act independently on any of these matters. The governor can remove a minister from the Council of Ministers only on the advice of the Chief Minister, because the minister is appointed only on the advice of the Chief Minister, and the governor cannot appoint a minister on his own. Therefore, while removing a minister, the governor needs to be advised by the Chief Minister, and only on the recommendation of the Chief Minister, the governor removes a minister. Otherwise not. The governor is not authorized or permitted by the Constitution to act in this manner.
Rajdeep Sardesai is joining me. Rajdeep, here is India's top constitutional authority, expert on parliamentary law, saying this is not possible, it can't be done, and yet Governor R.N. Ravi, who's had multiple showdowns with the DMK government of Stalin, seems to have decided he has the power to sack the minister.
You know, it's unprecedented. When I first read about it and I first got the breaking news, Rahul, a few minutes ago, I tried to think did it ever happen before? It hasn't. Now, you could argue there's always a first time, but the fact, Rahul, is the law is very clear. The Article 164(1) and the other clauses with regard to the role and responsibilities of the governor are very clear. And the Supreme Court in several cases has reiterated it, that the governor acts on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister.
Some kind of legal advice. No governor can go fire in this fashion by himself. He would have spoken to legal experts, thought these through, because if this gets struck down by the court, the governor of Tamil Nadu will be the laughing stock.
Two very quick points, Rahul. One, imagine a scenario tomorrow where the President of India dismisses a member in the Narendra Modi cabinet without informing the Prime Minister. Could you ever imagine that scenario?
It can't happen.
But B, what the governor will probably say is, because in this particular case the minister is accused of serious corruption and he has reason to believe that the minister in his present portfolio is obstructing the course of justice, and because the Chief Minister is not acting on it, he has chosen to act without consulting the Chief Minister. It creates a possible constitutional crisis, definitely, but that's the argument that the governor will make, that continuance of Senthil Balaji in the government of Tamil Nadu.
But he doesn't have the power to do so.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have the power to do so. I can't decide that I want to do something just because I want to if I'm not allowed to do so. He's in a constitutional post.
You see, I don't think he has, but remember, ministers shall hold office during the pleasure of the governor. He will try and interpret it to suggest that continuance of Senthil Balaji was in effect itself prima facie an illegal act, and therefore in his judgment he had chosen to do so. Where he is getting these powers under the Constitution is not clear. Who he has consulted before taking this decision is not clear. Clearly, on the balance of precedence, the Tamil Nadu government has a very strong case to suggest that the governor has directly intervened and crossed a certain Lakshman Rekha which Raj Bhavan is supposed to maintain, and therefore I think the governor will have a lot of explaining to do as to what is the basis on which he has taken this decision. He will obviously try and suggest because the charges are of serious corruption, therefore he has acted.
I want to go across to Pramod Mathav, Bureau Chief in Tamil Nadu. Pramod, what are the charges against Senthil Balaji? Where is he at this moment? What is the governor's office telling you? Why have they taken this decision, which is completely unprecedented and quite shocking, frankly?
Now, 3 days ago, he underwent coronary bypass surgery, and he has to be under treatment, and he is in Kaveri Hospital for the next 20 days. That is what the recent update we got from the Kaveri Hospital. there were like 4 blocks in his heart, and it was actually cleared. That's what the doctor has also said. But currently now the governor is coming forward and saying that there are like various cases. The ED has also approached the Madras High Court, where there is a case that is happening, where the enforcement director has also earlier said that Senthil Balaji did not cooperate, and that's the reason they had to go and arrest. But Senthil Balaji's wife is also contesting over there through an habeas corpus petition that the arrest itself was illegal. Amidst this, the governor claims that Senthil Balaji is trying to actually intervene with the investigation, and that's the reason so much like several cases, including cash for votes, cash for money case, and other cases are pending on his name. And that's the reason the governor says that he has been dismissed from the Council of Ministers. But we checked with the Council of Ministers website, and his name is clearly present over there without any portfolios. And I've been told just now that the Chief Minister has also reacted to this matter. The Chief Minister has said that the governor has no powers and DMK will face this legally.
Okay, I want to go across to Anisha Mathur. She's our legal correspondent. Is there anything under any law which allows a governor to sack a minister? Is there any precedent for this, Anisha Mathur?
Well, Rahul, this is something, in fact, that the precedent goes against, because if you remember the 1994 SR Bormai case, had clearly said that the governor cannot dismiss an elected government. In fact, just last year when we saw a similar dispute coming in Kerala, when the then Governor Arif Muhammad Khan had said that he has withdrawn the pleasure of appointment of then Finance Minister Ken Balagopal. Then also this issue had come up that can the governor dismiss a minister. Now what Article 164 of the Constitution says is that the Chief Minister is appointed by the governor, but the ministers are appointed on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister. So clearly, so far, the legal precedents that have come up so far say that the Chief Minister has to recommend the removal of a minister by the governor. Of course, the action is taken in the name of the governor. Today, we've seen this kind of statement coming from the Raj Bhavan in Tamil Nadu, and we've also, as Madhav just said, that the Tamil Nadu government has already said that they will be contesting this, because just 2 days ago in the Madras High Court, when this matter of Senthil Balaji had come up, the High Court had also questioned, can the governor actually does the governor under any provision have the power to remove a minister without the Chief Minister making that recommendation first? Clearly the legal precedents are against the governor. Today, if that kind of a step has been taken, it is something that is going to go before the courts, and the courts so far at least...
P. Wilson is a member of parliament to the DMK. I'm hearing from the Chief Minister's office. I've just received a message that the DMK will challenge this legally. Mr. Wilson, can you give us details about how soon you'll be mounting a legal challenge and your party's first reaction to the governor's unprecedented action of firing a minister who's facing serious charges of corruption?
First of all, our Honorable Chief Minister has just now said that the governor doesn't have powers to dismiss a minister without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, and particularly the recommendation of the Chief Minister. And he has also said that the issue will be legally dealt with. But first of all, you have to see, where does the governor derive this power to say like this? Where does he derive the power to issue such press release saying that I am dismissing a minister? Tomorrow, take a case where he will say I am dismissing all the ministers in the Tamil Nadu government. How can he say that? First of all, he has to act in accordance with the Constitution. So, such type of... suppose you would have passed such orders or written such letters, it is void ab initio, which means a person acting without any power, it need not be even respected. It will find a place where it has to go. So therefore, this will be a scrap of paper without having no effect at all. In law, a person who is acting without any jurisdiction, it need not be respected at all. So therefore, this...
No, but what they'll try and refer to is Article 164(1) of the Constitution of India 1949, which says the Chief Minister shall be appointed by the Governor, another minister shall be appointed by the Governor on the advice of the Chief Minister, and the Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor. So while this has not happened, and there's always a first time for things to happen, Ravi can say that I'm using the provision that Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor.
What do you mean by pleasure?
That's the Constitution, so I'm just quoting from the Constitution.
The pressure has been clearly explained by the Supreme Court. It is under the aid and advice of Council of Ministers or under the instructions of the Chief Minister, so far as appointment of ministers are concerned. So pleasure means, it doesn't mean as per his whims and fancies. It can't be exercised according to his own understanding. So this is a constitution and his functions is traceable under the constitution. So therefore this letter or a press release is of no use at all. It can be a scrap of paper. It need not be even acted upon. So rightly the Chief Minister...
On the other side, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Stalin should have himself asked Senthil Balaji to step down instead of just taking his portfolios away, given the fact that there were serious charges against him. That would have been the just, proper and moral thing for you to do. You didn't do that.
That is a different issue. You are asking me this pertinent question. I am answering to that. Thank you.
No, but do you think that Senthil Balaji should have stepped down? Should his power? But that's the point. You see, the DMK MP, till it was about attacking the governor, he's happy to attack the governor, and then he cuts the phone, because the fact is Senthil Balaji was accused by Stalin of grievous corruption when Stalin was in the opposition and Senthil Balaji was in the AIA-DMK. So this is a man who's had a long history of cases against him. Now that he's in the DMK, like any political party, sees nothing wrong with it, and now they're defending Senthil Balaji, a man they once attacked. But this is quite unprecedented. Make no mistake about it. I want to go across to Sarvanan from the DMK. He's joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Sarvanan, when do you intend to challenge this in the court? Where will this challenge be placed? The governor, referring to 164(1) of the Constitution, which says that a minister serves at the pleasure of the governor. Ravi can turn around and say that Senthil Balaji no longer has my pleasure.
So, will the BJP keep quiet? Will the Prime Minister keep quiet? Tomorrow, if the President writes that I am dismissing the Home Minister because the situation in Manipur has not been brought under control, what will be the reaction of the BJP? Of course, if the President is in a higher position, is in a better position, because she has been elected indirectly by the people of this country, whereas Governor is just a nominee. Does the Governor have the power? The Governor does not have the power. The BJP and the RSS cabal is trying to intimidate the DMK government in the state of Tamil Nadu. The Governor is acting in a clownish way. He is undermining the Constitution. The Governor preaches so much about Sanatana Dharma. He has to understand that we are not enforcing the laws of Sanatana here. From 1950, the Constitution is our Bible, the Constitution is our Gita, the Constitution is our Quran. Under which provision? The Governor is a mere rubber stamp. He is a puppet. He is an S-man under the Council of Ministers. He cannot do anything without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers.
Okay.
If the government does not know this, or he is deliberately violating this, then he is committing an illegal act. He is acting against the Constitution. So what has this prompted? If we have the same analogy across the country, the BJP has not even dismissed Brij Bhushan Singh from the Wrestlers Federation. He did not even suspend him from the Wrestlers Federation, which is a lesser post. It is a heinous crime. India's golden girls were sexually harassed by Brij Bhushan Singh of the BJP.
Okay, I want to go across to Priyanka Chaturvedi, Member of Parliament from the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena. We requested Priyanka to join us because the original plan was to debate the Uniform Civil Code. My apologies for having changed the topic at the last minute, but this is a big story. And the fact is the governor has dismissed a minister saying he no longer has my privilege. How do you respond to this? Do you think this comes under the purview of what the opposition has been saying, that members in constitutional posts are overreaching their power?
Oh, absolutely. The governors have been shaming the Constitution ever since 2014, and this government has come to power. where their party representatives are sent as governors in various states. We have also been at the receiving end of a governor who the Supreme Court said the floor test that he mandated was unconstitutional and illegal. His dismissal of the government was unconstitutional and illegal. So it just goes on to show whether we are looking at Kerala, whether we are looking at the Tamil Nadu's unprecedented order that's come from the governor, which will definitely be challenged in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court will be dismissing it, is the unconstitutional reign of the governors who are appointees, and they overlook what the chief minister, who's elected representative of the particular state, what his opinion is, and that is extremely shameful. And I think every single, whether people in the opposition or those in the government, should really relook as to how the powers are being misused by the governors.
No, but maybe, Saravanan, it can be argued that Mr. Stalin, the chief minister, should have taken this action himself. If he had asked Senthil Balaji to step down, that would have been the just, moral and right thing to do. You didn't do that, creating a space for the governor to go in and take this action.
Yes, yeah, Rahul. The law is very, very clear on that. We will come to the morality part little later. The law is very clear. The Supreme Court has settled this law in B.R. Kapoor versus Union State of Tamil Nadu, this is Jayalalitha. It has clearly stated that if you are qualified to hold the post of the MLA, then you are qualified to hold the post of the minister. If you are disqualified to become an MLA, then you cannot hold the post of the minister. Here, Mr. Senthil Balaji does not lose his qualification to hold the post of the MLA. So, he has every right, every legal right, constitutional right to continue as a minister. It is the prerogative of the chief minister who should be in his cabinet. If he is qualified, he should be there in the cabinet.
No, so Priyanka Chaturvedi, there are two courts here.
Let me, okay. Now let me come to the morality part.
Yes.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Does BJP have the moral right? Can they preach about morality? Can they talk about all these things? How many ministers in the BJP cabinet are charged with heinous offences? The union ministers I am talking about. How many did the BJP dismiss? We are seeing ministers going on and on about glorifying several killers. We have a terrorist as an MP. This is the morality of the BJP. So please don't preach morality. And Mr. Senthil Balaji has been targeted only because he is in the DMK. How many ministers? How many ministers the BJP from the BJP cabinet has been arrested? In Karnataka, 8 crores was seized. 8 o'clock in the evening, the guy grants an anticipatory bail. Sandha Kochar, 2,500 crore scam. Was the ED behind her? 12 days, she's out on bail. Lakshmi Subramaniam from the NSE. What a big scam. Was the ED behind them? No. So why is Mr. Senthil Balaji targeted? Due to politics. So nobody let the
No,
BJP
but Stalin also had attacked Senthil Balaji when Balaji was in the AIDMK. Priyanka Chaturvedi, do you think the chief minister's inaction in sacking the minister when he faced arrest and such serious charges creates a moral space for the governor to act? Legal space will be defined in a court, but in the court of public opinion, the DMK was shielding a minister who had serious charges of corruption, a man against whom Mr. Stalin himself had spoken when Senthil Balaji was in the AIDMK. Priyanka Chaturvedi.
No, again, I actually quite agree with what the DMK spokesperson was saying, that this is a question of morality, public opinion versus the rule of law. And the rule of law is pretty clear that the governor cannot, an appointed person sent by the centre cannot be taking a call of the government, and an elected representative, which is the chief minister, who's a popular chief minister of the state. We can discuss public opinion, corruption charges, etc., with a lot many cases. For example, Ajay Mishra Teni, who's a minister of state for home, who continues to enjoy his position despite being part of, we saw how the farmers were crushed under his son's car. So there are various such incidents that we can mention. So even if he moved from AIDMK and those charges were being made, but that's how the political system works in the country. And right now we are also seeing, let's say, Narayan Rane, the Minister of State with an independent charge. He had so many ED cases against him. As soon as he joins the BJP, he gets an all-clear chip. So all this is secondary. The first and the major question should be, should the governor be overstepping beyond his brief and acting like a political stooge of the centre rather than actually holding the constitutional morality that the chair gives to him?
Okay,
And
I want to come back now to that.
I'm very certain
Uniform Civil Code debate, which was originally meant to be our top focus. We stepped aside for that breaking news, but I want to come back to the politics over the Prime Minister pitching for a Uniform Civil Code, because now the opposition is divided. The Aam Aadmi Party has pledged in principle support to the UCC. The Shiromani Akali Dal, a one-time ally of the BJP, is opposing it. Priyanka Chaturvedi's party in principle wants a UCC, but they don't trust what the Modi government is doing. The Congress is playing wait and watch, and the question is whether this will become a big issue building up to the next year's general elections, where you've got majority sentiment on the one side against a lot of the minorities, and not just the Muslims, but the Sikhs, the Christians, the other Parsis, the other minorities on the other side. But even amongst the Hindus, there is, for example, the Hindu undivided family, which benefits from the existence of separate laws in the absence of a UCC. So politics peaking around the UCC. Take a look at this report.
आजकल हम देख रहे हैं कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड के नाम पर ऐसे लोगों को भड़काने का काम हो रहा है। आप मुझे बताइए, एक घर में परिवार के एक सदस्य के लिए एक कानून हो, परिवार के दूसरे सदस्य के लिए दूसरा कानून हो, तो क्या वो घर चल पाएगा क्या?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's push for a uniform civil code has left the opposition divided and confused, with most parties unable to take a clear stand on an issue that could become the BJP's calling card in the 2024 elections. The Congress and its allies like the DMK and National Conference are opposing the government's move.
ये मुल्क डाइवर्स है, इसमें हर किस्म के लोग रहते हैं, हर मजहब रहता है, हर जबान के लोग रहते हैं, हर सोच के लोग रहते हैं, और मुसलमानों का अपना शरीयत लॉ है, उसकी तरफ भी इनको नजर रखनी चाहिए। इस पे बार-बार सोचें कि कहीं कोई तूफान न आए।
ஆக மத பிரச்சனை அதிகமாக்கி நாட்டிலே குழப்பத்தை ஏற்படுத்தி வெற்றி பெற்று விடலாம் என்று அவர் கருதி கொண்டிருக்கிறார். நிச்சயமாக உறுதியாக வர இருக்கக்கூடிய நாடாளுமன்ற தேர்தலில் பாரதிய ஜனதா கட்சிக்கு சரியான பாடத்தை மக்கள் வழங்குவதற்கு தயாராகிவிட்டார்கள்.
In Maharashtra, former BJP ally and current Congress partner Shiv Sena UBT backs a uniform code, but wonders if it will end up hurting Hindus. Another UPA constituent, NCP, has cautioned against any hurry in framing the UCC.
Sikh Samaj, Christian Samaj, Jain Samaj या तत्सम धर्मियांची भूमिका याच्यात काय ते स्पष्ट होण्याची आवश्यकता आहे.
The Akali Dal, once a partner of the BJP, is opposed to a uniform code.
श्रोमणी अकाली दल इस पक्ष में नहीं है कि इसको लागू किया जाए. इससे माइनॉरिटीज उनके सिविल राइट्स इफेक्ट होंगे. जो देश में ट्राइब्स हैं, कबीले हैं बहुत से नॉर्थ ईस्ट में और स्टेट्स में, वो इफेक्ट होंगे, और इसमें एक तनाव का माहौल जो है वो देश में दोबारा बनेगा.
The Aam Aadmi Party is in agreement with the BJP on the need for a UCC, but wants consultations and consensus building.
देखिए, सैद्धांतिक रूप से हम यूसीसी का समर्थन करते हैं. आर्टिकल 44, आर्टिकल 44 वो भी ये कहती है कि यूसीसी होनी चाहिए.
Many political parties and groups representing the Muslim community have come out in the open to question the government's motive behind the proposal for UCC.
भारत के प्रधानमंत्री भारत की डाइवर्सिटी को, प्लुरलिज्म को एक प्रॉब्लम समझते. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की जब बात प्रधानमंत्री कर रहे हैं, वो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की नहीं बात कर रहे, वो हिंदू सिविल कोड की बात कर रहे.
The BJP has hit back at the opposition, holding them guilty of giving a communal color to the whole issue.
140 करोड़ जनता में एक समान है, और अगर एक समान है तो एक नीति होनी चाहिए सभी, और ये तो संकल्प भारतीय जनता पार्टी की रही है, और ये संकल्प संविधान में भी है.
Bureau Report, India Today.
You know, most people watching this broadcast would be of the view that it makes sense to have one law in one nation. That just in principle seems like the right thing to do, which is why it's also a part of the directive principles of our constitution. But it's never been implemented because of the various differences amongst different regions when it comes to laws on marriage, succession, birth, divorce, and various aspects of personal life. Is this the right moment? Is this an attempt by the BJP to try and whip up sentiment around this issue, given that this is one of their major ideological planks ahead of the 2024 elections? And will it become a major rallying factor before the next polls, because the opposition is clearly split? I want to go across to GVL Narasimha Rao, spokesperson of the BJP. He's with us on this broadcast. You saw Priyanka Chaturvedi a little while earlier, member of parliament of the Rajya Sabha, deputy leader of the Uddhav Shiv Sena. Reena Gupta from the Aam Aadmi Party. Varis Pathan has taken out time on Bakrid to join us. I appreciate that. And Sarvanan Annadurai from the DMK is still with us. So I want to go across to GVL Narasimha Rao first. I have here the 21st Law Commission report. Came out in 2018 on the 31st of August, which says a uniform civil code is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. It's a 185-page consultation paper which makes the point that a unified nation did not necessarily need to have uniformity of law. Given that this was the Law Commission's position under your government's watch in 2018, why then has this issue been brought up 1 year before the elections? Is this, now that the Ram temple has been built, Article 370 is gone, is this the third plank you will try and whip up as you seek a third term for Prime Minister Modi? GVL Narasimha Rao.
Rahul, good evening to you, all the panelists and all the viewers. There is nothing hidden about this. This has been a part of our political agenda for gender justice ever since the BJP was formed. And even in 2019 manifesto, we have clearly and categorically stated that we will work towards bringing uniform civil code. This was a part of our manifesto in 2019. So what we are beginning to do, what we are setting out to do, is exactly what we have spoken about all these years. There is nothing keeping in mind 2024. And why is it for certain communities, uniform civil code or common personal laws are okay when they live abroad? When you live in the US, I don't see Varis Pathan or Owaisi or any of their relatives talking about Sharia law. But when it comes to India, it becomes obligatory. And in the same logic, they were trying to force continuation of triple talaq when countries like even Egypt, Bangladesh, then Pakistan, many of them have banned it decades ago, but they wanted even to persist that that injustice to women, Muslim women in India, in the name of a vote bank. So
okay, let me get a word in from Varis Pathan, because in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, Malaysia, Turkey, these are Islamic countries, Indonesia, Sudan, Egypt, and in countries like America and in Ireland, the Uniform Civil Code is implemented and all citizens of those countries, including Muslims, follow the same law. So if Turkey, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Pakistan, Egypt, Indonesia and Sudan don't have a problem, why should Varis Pathan have a problem?
Well, Rahul, first and foremost, Eid Mubarak and Happy Ekadashi to you, my co-panelists, your viewers and everybody. Now, coming back to the topic on the UCC, there is no need for the UCC as said by the Law Commission in 2018 itself. See, we have got independence in 1947. Since 70 years, we have been following the constitution given to us by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Constitution, there is an unfettered fundamental right enshrined under Article 29, 14, 25, 26. What will they do? Article 29 of the Constitution speaks about plurality and diversity, which are the basic structures of our Constitution. Will they remove that? In Nagaland, special status is given to the people there. BJP is sharing in alliance since last 2003 in Nagaland with the NPF.
No, but let me ask you a very simple question, which is one of the key factors in the demand for UCC. Take polygamy. Why should men from a certain community be allowed to marry multiple times? Surely you don't think that that is acceptable. Why shouldn't there be gender justice?
Multiple wives?
Why should anyone be allowed to marry 1, 2, 3, 4, more than one wife?
Canards. Rahul, these are lies and canards spread by the BJP against the Muslim, and I challenge GVL. Give me 10 names of Muslim men who have married 4 times.
Sir, but it's allowed. It's a question of principle.
You don't have.
It's a question of principle, sir.
But why should it be allowed?
Principle.
Why should it be allowed?
Rahul, as principle, let me go a step further. There are my Hindu friends. I know many of our non-Muslim people. There are 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't want to name them. I don't want to say anything about them. There are. One of the film stars got married.
But then Hindu law prohibits it.
Himself and got married.
But they have to follow the law of the land.
Hindu law.
Because triple talaq was done away with. It didn't make much of a difference. There were concerns that there'd be a backlash from society. Priyanka Chaturvedi, you're a woman yourself and a woman's right activist. Why should men from any community be allowed to marry multiple times? The Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena is in a particularly tricky spot, because if you were with the BJP at this time, you'd be applauding the Modi government's decision to push for the UCC. This is what you actually want.
So, firstly, we are in no tricky situation, and Shiv Sena has never shied away from sharing its opinion, whether it goes along with the opposition, goes along with its alliance, or it goes against its alliance. We've always spoken our mind. And as far as, in principle, Uniform Civil Code is concerned, we are very clear. If it ensures equality and justice irrespective of gender or religion, then we are all for it. We are all for ensuring that every, streamlining of the laws as far as we are concerned. There are multiple laws that are being, misused, misinterpreted, and even the courts have a tough time in judging cases which come in the purview of personal law. So that is why it becomes important. Whenever you need to weed out some I would say, laws which keep women away from, various other their rights, then it is something that needs to be done. If it's not being done by the society itself, it has to be done by the government. However, our question is of the timing. Our question is of a draft which is still not out there in the public domain. Law Commission has just about opened a conversation on this and has asked for feedback. Yet we are seeing BJP using it in its political rallies. And I must say just one point to Mr. Rao's opening statement, which said it has been part of a political manifesto where we believe in gender justice. Do you know Bilkis Bano would be crying listening to this right now? After what you'll have done to her, after her having won the hard-fought victory, you'll have released those people who, were punished for the heinous act done on her. Even the women wrestlers would be laughing at you right now, that they are asking for justice and no justice has been done to them. So please keep quiet on that gender justice bit. You all have been at the forefront of ensuring that women are shown their place in the patriarchal society that we continue to live in. So this sudden love for women and gender equality, etc., doesn't suit the BJP. So the timing, the intention is for all to see. If this was part of your political manifesto, you should have created a conducive environment from the first day of Prime Minister taking chair in 2014. Considering it's coming at the fag end, 2023 clearly shows it's political in nature. It is being done or spoken about with the intent of the
so respond to what Priyanka is saying, GVL. You could have done this in the first year of being in power. You've kind of let it be till the 4th year, allowed it to simmer in a subterranean fashion. Now you're bringing it out. Is this your big bazooka to try and, bring the opposition down ahead of the next election? Because it does put, see, Priyanka Chaturvedi having to take a position largely in support of the Uniform Civil Code, Aam Aadmi Party largely in support of the Uniform Civil Code. So before next month's all opposition party meeting or most opposition party meeting in Bengaluru, are you trying to divide them using the UCC as your Brahmastra?
No, Rahul, I think there is a legislative calendar to the government, and it follows. We have a 5-year tenure to implement our legislative agenda. What to bring in first year, second year is entirely discretion of the government. And also there were some court cases pending in the Supreme Court. And you have heard court views only a little recently. So certainly this is very timely, and we have this government, we have elected a president of India, a woman, a lady from the Adivasi communities. We have all the credentials. We ensure that triple talaq is no longer allowed in this country. We certainly have demonstrated our gender justice. And today Shiv Sena has changed its stripes. Today you have seen Hindutva banding Shiv Sena has acquired Islamization.
Reena Gupta from the Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress attacking the AAP for siding with the government on the Uniform Civil Code, saying that you haven't seen the draft, you don't know what the law is. How is it that you've come out and supported the government? The Congress is calling you the B team of the BJP.
Rahul, we have come in support of the Constitution. The Directive Principles, Article 44, clearly mention that the government shall endeavour to have a uniform civil code. Having said that, there is no draft out in the public domain. There is no timeline. We don't know what will happen to the rights of the Sikh communities or the Parsis or the Buddhists, all the customary tribal laws. We don't know what will happen in areas where we have Article 371. So it is very clearly Bharatiya Janata Party's another polarization tactics in the last year of their term, hoping that the country would be divided. Otherwise, you had enough time. You should have consulted all the religious leaders. You should have sat down with each of them. You should have explained the nuances. For example, what will happen to the HUF, the Hindu Undivided, the HUF fund, which a lot of Hindus used for their income tax. What will the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders are exclaiming everywhere that UCC worked so well in Goa. Do they know that in Goa, Hindu men are allowed to remarry if their wives don't produce a son? Is that the UCC you want in the whole country?
All of that will be done away with as well. And surely you should appreciate that. You should say that's a good thing, that there should be gender equality. Reena Gupta, why are you opposing that?
Yeah. No, there should be gender equality, Rahul. I totally agree, and that is the reason why we are saying that in principle we support UCC, but we do not support the way Bharatiya Janata Party is going about.
But Priyanka Chaturvedi, do you realize the political inevitability of the government pushing the UCC through, and the fact that like on Article 370, like on Ram Temple, the vast swath of this country actually supports that there should be a single law. There will be pockets of resistance among certain communities, but the large mass of India would want that there be one nation and one law.
Rahul, we have seen...
One second, Priyanka Chaturvedi, please.
Absolutely. Even Baba Sahib Ambedkar ji also... Even Baba Sahib Ambedkar ji espoused for that. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji espoused for that. But at that point in time, the environment wasn't conducive. That's why it came as part of the directive principles.
But when will the environment ever be conducive? What do you define as a conducive environment?
So, one second, just allow me another 30 seconds. I'll just give you another example. He mentioned, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson mentioned that we have a first tribal president. Do you know in 2016, Rashtriya Adivasi Ekta Manch had approached the Supreme Court saying that they should not interfere in their personal laws, which include polygamy and polyandry. So there are various people, cross-section of people that need to be consulted. It cannot be done from a political rally, the Prime Minister coming and saying something. So the intent, if there was an intent, it should have started to create a conducive environment, which they haven't. So now that we are close to an election, their agenda is of dividing, hating and creating a political narrative of us versus them. That is why it suits them right now. And that is all I say. If you were so clear about this, you all should have created a conducive environment. You should have allowed the Law Commission to take feedback. You haven't allowed any
Sarvanan from the DMK, what is the DMK's objection? Why are you upset with the idea that there should be one nation, one law?
See, the BJP is obsessed with this toxic idea of oneness. Oneness doesn't suit our country. We are a diverse culture. We take pride in the fact that we are a diverse nation and we ensure that there is unity among this diversity. This oneness, this homogenization will be a threat to our integrity.
No, that's a rhetorical point. On the question of law, what's your objection? What's the problem with having one uniform civil code?
Yeah, I'm coming to it. See, when there are so many people with so many cultures and so many practices, what is the fun in trying to say that, oh, we should have only one set of rules for all of them? This is their personal laws. That is what Mr.
Do they support polygamy?
Just a moment. Let me complete, sir. Mr. GVL Narasimha was saying, oh, in America, you are not accepting to your Shariat law. You are following their law. In America, defamation is not a criminal offense. In India, defamation is a criminal offense. We have seen an MP losing his seat, Mr. Rahul Gandhi losing his seat. So please don't compare. What is good for America is not good for our country. That apart, Mr. Modi, the BJP and the RSS should bring a uniform treatment code of all the Hindus first. Hindus are not treated properly in the country. You are speaking that we have the first...
Rahul, I want to ask you.
Okay, GBL has a question for you. Go ahead, GBL, fire away. GBL.
I speaking Vaishnav and Dharmendra Pradhan was inside the temple.
No.
Why is this discrimination?
GBL.
In the modern society, Rahul, I would like... No, I think what Mr. Saravanan has a point, but I want to ask him. In Tamil Nadu, there may have been a tradition of polygamy, but would women of Tamil Nadu, if you ask them, would they support that such a polygamy should be allowed among Hindus? Or would Muslim women support polygamy as a practice because the Muslim personal law allows it today? What is DMK's view on polygamy?
Is the BJP and the RSS saying the only way
is it not
to
anti-women?
Uniform civil code? Is this BJP stand? Is this the only reason why you want to bring uniform
No,
civil
please,
code?
no. This is one way, certainly. Yes, that is one part of it, certainly. Certainly.
Yeah, why the Prime Minister is not visiting Manipur?
Certainly, that is one. I'm asking. Please answer about Tamil Nadu. Is DMK in favor of polygamy?
To be spent on election rallies rather than finding out what's happening in Manipur.
Mr. Saravanan,
Okay.
you are not answering.
Let me put this question.
This is a question
No,
that
one
you
second.
should be answering very easily.
I want to ask Waris Pathan, sir, the kind of apprehensions that were raised when the law against triple talaq was brought in. You go out and speak to women in Uttar Pradesh, speak to women in Bihar, speak to women elsewhere. They appreciate the fact that triple talaq is gone. That's not about politics, it's not about Hindu or Muslim, it's about gender justice, it's about ensuring that all genders are equal before law. That's something that, women, you may not appreciate it, but many women in your community actually do.
Well, if Modi and BJP were so much serious about the gender justice and equality and the implementation of the UCC, what prevented them from getting in the last 9 years? Why were they waiting for? That is why I said that present UCC drama is the after effects of US visit of the Prime Minister when he was asked questions about by Sabrina and when Barack Obama gave an interview to the news channel stating that in India ethnic minorities are facing trouble, the Muslim minorities are in trouble. If these things are not taken care of, India will collapse. That is the after effect. And now so they have come up with
but
the
what's
UCC.
the link? What's the link?
Why? And you are talking about gender equality and triple talaq.
What is the link? Very funny.
Triple talaq time Modi said Muslim women are my sisters. What happens to Bilkis Banu? Why does he not talk about her? Why no justice to her? Why not the Zakia Jafri? Why our Muslim daughters want to go to school and study wearing
But you please tell us whether you would want triple talaq back.
Women, very good. But there are 20 lakh plus our Hindu sisters. GVL, listen, there are 20 lakh plus our Hindu sisters who are abandoned and deserted, who are living in Vrindavan. Why Modi or BJP is not interested in taking care of them? Why only for the Muslims? That is why I say the implementation of the UCC is only with the malified intention. The target is to harass the Muslims at large and to see to it that rights are taken away.
But this is not just about Muslims.
That
Remember, there's opposition from the Sikhs as well, there's opposition from the Christians, there's opposition from Parsi community.
They are misinterpreting Article 44. Article 44 says, shall endeavor. Koshish karo. Not that
कोशिश ही तो कर रही है सरकार.
Every day since the last 2 days I am listening
कर रहे हो. For how many centuries?
The nation by misinterpreting the Article 44 of the Constitution. Kindly read Article 44 along with 39 also, GVL. Then you will come to know what is the basic structure, fundamental rights.
No, but Priyanka Chaturvedi, the fact is there will never be a good time. This directive principle at some point in time, like with the Ram temple, like with Article 370, someone needs to bite the bullet and get it done. Everybody says, yes, this is a good idea. Now you're linking it to the elections, you're linking, and of course politics is an inevitable part of what's at play. But there never is a good time between having gender equality across laws, equality around succession, around marriage, around divorce, around pregnancies being terminated. Having equal laws is better than not having equal laws, and there'll never be a good time, Priyanka.
I tell you, I absolutely stand in agreement as far as the principles of bringing in a uniform civil code is concerned, and that was my opening comment. However, the timing I question simply because something that could have been achieved in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, when you came with such a massive mandate, or you could have created, like I continue to say, you should have started the conversation on it. You should have brought in the various stakeholders. So today, if the Sikh community is protesting, they should have been brought on board. They should have been explained. You should be explaining the Christian communities. You should be explaining to the tribal communities what you're planning to do. You don't go up on a stage on a political rally and start making, comments about us versus them. And again, this is not being involving of all stakeholders. You're making this about Hindus versus Muslims. And that is where the principles of UCC are being absolutely, I would say, put to death on the altar of their politics. And that is the only point I would like to make. And just one point with regards to what Waris Pathan said about Hindu women being abandoned. Hindu women being abandoned, they have the legal recourse to fight it out in the courts. And that is the beauty of reforms. Unfortunately, we don't have this in various other communities which should have reform from within. All India Muslim Personal Law Board should have looked at bringing in more reforms to make it gender.
No, but they haven't, which is why Uniform Civil Code is the way to do it.
We will have to create
but
something
they haven't,
madam. Gender justice.
But they haven't, which is why Uniform Civil Code is the one way of getting it done.
They haven't. They haven't. That is exactly what I'm saying. The need for this and the discussion for this is happening because a lot of reforms that should have come from the society.
But Reena Gupta, the fact also is that in Delhi it is politically expedient to support the UCC, which is what you've done. In Punjab, your party is facing flack from the likes of Shiromani Akali Dal for the manner in which Sikhs currently marry under the Anand Act, because there are various aspects of Sikh personal law which the Sikhs would like to continue with. And while in Delhi, it's the right thing to say that there should be a UCC, in many parts of Punjab, many in the Sikh community who voted for you in the last assembly election will not like this. So AAP also is caught in that bind.
Rahul, we are very clear. We are saying we support the idea of UCC. However, we know that Bharatiya Janata Party in the past also with several of its acts and laws, like whether it's demonetization, GST, farm laws, has done all of them very hastily. Even now the Law Commission has given only 30 days for comments, for getting comments from 140 crore people in this country. So this needs to be done properly. This cannot be an election junglebaji. There needs to be a proper consultation with all the religious leaders, whether it's the Sikh community or it's the tribal community or it's the Parsis or the Jains. Everybody needs to be brought on board, and that is what we are saying. That you cannot do an election jumlebaji and say that we are bringing UCC. Nobody even knows what this UCC will look like, what is the draft, what is the timeline, how long it will take. So we need to bring everybody together. Okay. So we have said that we are in principle in support because the Constitution says that.
So when you're saying in principle you're in support, you say that you're not in support of the Anand Act. You're not in support of the Sikhs being allowed to marry the way they currently do. That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is that the Sikh leaders need to be consulted with. There need to be nuances in the UCC. There needs to be a draft out there.
Okay.
But this is typical Bharatiya Janata Party tactics that you just try to polarize the whole country, and we are sitting on TV channels discussing UCC, whereas none of us know what the draft will look like.